Cicero, De Finibus Bonorum et Malorum, Book 3, Episode 2. Et enim sit impudens, si virtuti deutius repugnet, aut si honestis jucunda anteponat, ut plurus esse contendat, dulcedanem corporis, ex eawe natam laetitiam, quam gravitatem animi atque constantiam. In the previous sentence, Cicero says that pleasure, voluptatem, would eventually yield to dignitati, moral value, conquered by the arguments in his previous book, Superiore Libro. Now he says, by way of concession, but granted that she is disrespectful, or we take it as obvious that she's disrespectful, impudens. This sometimes is assimilated, the N is assimilated to an M, and so the lexical entry is impudens, like so. It is feminine singular and nominative because it modifies or is the predicate of an implied voluptas. Granted that she is somewhat disrespectful. Then we have a si clause which contains a number of subjunctives, si repugnet, si anteponat, and si contendat. Granted that pleasure is somewhat disrespectful, impudens, if she contends with or fights back against virtue, virtuti, for too long, deutius. Repugnet is third singular present subjunctive active, patterning with this dative, virtuti, which is feminine and singular dative, with the intransitive verb repugnet, it's the indirect object. If she fights back against virtue for too long, or if she, meaning pleasure, anteponat, prefers, places before, prefers jucunda, this is neuter plural, accusative, as the direct object of anteponat, if she prefers jucunda, pleasant things, to things that have moral worth, honestis. Honestis is neuter, plural, and dative. Similarly, pleasure is impudens if she, on the other hand, out contendat, or if she argues, we have to supply si or understand it, or if she argues that the dulcedanem corporis, the delight of the body, or, that's the we, or the laetitiam, or the pleasure that has been born, or that arises, ea, from that delight, if she argues that plurus esse, that it is of more value. Plurus is neuter, singular, and genitive, a genitive of value. If she argues that the dulcedanem of the body, or the laetitiam that is born or arises from it, ex ea, from that body, is, or from that dulcedanem, is of more value than, here's the comparative, the gravitatem and the constantiam animi. Namely, the gravitatem, the serious moral nature, and the perseverance of the soul. So let's look at this a little more closely. Contendat introduces oratio obliqua, indirect statement. The subject of that is dulcedanem, and then there is this infinitive esse. The subject is dulcedanem, that's why feminine singular, the subject of an infinitive is always accusative, feminine singular accusative. So she argues that the dulcedanem corporis, and then here's another subject, laetitiam, and these are connected by this disjunctive we, like so, which is attached here as an enclitic, that the sweetness or the sweet pleasure of the body, or the laetitiam, this is a synonym of dulcedanem, which is born from natam, this is a participle, from nascor, that is born from it, the antecedent of ea is dulcedanem. If she argues that it is of more worth, plurus, there's the genitive of value, than, and of course, whenever we use quam for a comparative, so plurus quam, the item on the second side, on the other half, the item being compared to that on the first, must agree with it in case. So dulcedanem is accusative, laetitiam is accusative, thus gravitatem and constantiam are both accusative. There's also a very nice parallelism here. Dulcedanem, accusative, followed by the genitive corporis, this disjunctive, and then laetitiam, modified by natam. Gravitatem, accusative, followed by animi in the genitive, then this conjunction corresponding to we, and constantiam, which corresponds to laetitiam. The parallelism, however, is interrupted by the preposition and by this adjective. The definitive edition of this text was edited by Reynolds, published by Oxford in 2009.